What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Alright, so we're going to continue the Fodder and Not the Fodder series. And we're going to talk about the new arena coming up. We're going to talk about raids and regular arena as well. So now, in the 2 and 3 star arena, you can't get it confused. Okay, a lot of water monsters now, they gain some value. They did and they didn't at the same time, but there's no Lucian to worry about anymore. So now water monsters can be put on defense. So we're gonna go over. We're gonna see what can, what can't, what exactly is going on. All right. So this, forget about him. He only has 2 skills. He's got a decent little leader ability, but it's not worth it to build Tigress. This used to be a Giants farmer, Giants B10. Not anymore. He's alright. I mean, he puts dots. He has a stun over here, and then he increases his attack speed if you get a critical hit. Whatever. She's really not worth it. She's a support monster with attack things, whatever. I'll be honest with you guys. I was looking at him yesterday. I kind of wanted to make him work, but it's not. He doesn't, I guess. This ability is pretty cool. He's pretty much, I think, the only monster that has immunity from the 2 and 3 stars. Correct me if I'm wrong with the fire one, I'm not sure, but don't quote me on that. But it's only for himself. He reflects 30% damage. He's a defense-based monster. I can't think of any wind monsters, which we'll go over it another day, but I really can't think of any wind monsters that'll ignore defense other than Lucian. So, for 2 and 3 star arena, he could be okay. But that's about it. Alright, I'm not too thrilled with him. He has this stun, and then he has a 1-turn slow. So, whatever. If you do want to build him and test him out for 2 and 3 star arena, I would suggest you either want to do Swift, Violent, and like Guard and Nemesis. Nemesis would work for him too as an offset. Revenge, maybe you want to do the slow. You could also do Despair Revenge, add a stun, and then like, he could be annoying. Stuff like that. Let's see now. So this guy, when the first game first came out, people would build 3 of him and Rauk for defense. And it kind of worked at some point. I think he would be pretty good for the 2 and 3 star arena. I've seen people use him in Dragons B10. That's a really, really high-end Dragons B10 team, though. You need a lot. You need very good runes. I believe it would be Violent Blade or like Violent Revenge, whatever they were using. But for 2 and 3 star arena, you can go Violent, you can go Fatal, you could go Rage, whatever you want to do. It's this attacker here performs a fierce cooperative attack with 2 fellow allies. He's really good. He's not bad at all. Especially, I really think for 2 and 3 star arena, he's gonna be all right. You build him attack, crit damage, attack, pretty much Fatal Revenge, Fatal Blade, Rage Revenge, Violent Blade, Violent Revenge, whichever way you want to go with him. He has a nice base speed. He increases his own speed as well. Attacks the enemy and increases his own speed, and the damage goes according to speed. So you could do like speed crit damage attack, but attack crit damage attack with speed subs would probably be better. But you know what? Actually, speed crit damage attack would be really, really good because of this base speed. You make him as fast as possible, and a triple attack, you could automatically delete a monster. Especially since there's no immunity. The only way you're getting immunity is from will runes and stuff like that. So you know what? You're going to be seeing a lot of Tarks in the 2-3 star arena. I think he's going to be a superstar in some ways. Especially for that base attack, that base speed. He's going to be taking first turns. He's going to be really good, actually. So we got this guy. A lot of people have wanted to build him. He contradicts himself. He's an attack-based monster and then creates a shield that absorbs damage equivalent to 100% of your max hit points for 3 turns. So how do you build him? That's the thing. Then, alright, this is according to the enemy's max hit points. he's a contradicting monster. There's no real point of building him. You want to build him. Some people used to build him for Giants B10. They used to do like a hit point build. He lacks the hit points. He's like a real lackluster monster. The attack is alright. The speed is pretty decent for an attacker, but you want to build them, you could try a Fatal or Rage, even Violent. Swift would be okay. Anyways, we'll go move on. Konamiya. Let me tell you guys something now. Konamiya, because of raids. Alright, Konamiya is really good in raids. There are people that are using him in R5. People don't want to build Kona because they have Delphoy. Let me tell you something, Kona's better than Delphoy. Kona's on a 3-turn cooldown when this skill is maxed. He has the research. And the stun doesn't have anything. This is the only thing that's a wasted move on Kona. Alright? For raids, I would build him. Look, for anything. I'm sorry, I can't. Swift doesn't really work on him because of this skill. I'd rather have him on Violent. I'd rather him taking as many turns as possible. Alright? Speed, hit point. His base defense isn't that high, but his base hit points are really high. So, speed, hit point. Violent. For Arena now, for the 2 and 3 star Arena, he's also going to be a superstar. So you could build him Violent Revenge. But for raids, which is where I'm going to mainly be using him, I have him Violent Energy, but I have him at around 60% resistance. I also have Praha as a resistance leader. So that's why I have him at around 60% resistance. That's why I put the energy offset. If you want to use him for, as I said, for the 2 and 3 star Arena, you can go Violent Revenge, you can go Violent Will, Violent Nemesis if you want. Nemesis is a decent offset for him. And yeah, Shield, it's not the Shield is okay for him if you have the OP runes, but seriously, Revenge, Will, or Nemesis, that's pretty much the offsets. If you don't have them, go Energy, Guard, Endure is good too. But Violent Will, if you're gonna put him on your defense as well for 2 and 3 star Arena, really good set, a really good offset for him is Violent Will. Is Will runes. A lot of people are going to disagree with me and ask me about Swift. The base speed is pretty low, and yes, you want him as fast as possible. That's why I suggest speed in slot 2. I don't like him with Swift. It's just my opinion. But anyway, he's Blast Cold Energy, freezing the enemy and decreasing the defense for 1 turn. It's just 1 turn and then decreases attack speed. He's not that great. He's not really worth building. Neither is she. Attacks all enemies three times with an Arctic Frost. Each attack has a 50% chance to decrease the target's attack speed for 2 turns. She's a support monster, so unrecoverable, same as Colleen, and then yeah, attack down. She's not that great. You know what? Some people probably wanted to pull Lulu out for 2 and 3 star Arena. The guys, the unfortunate people that 6 star Lulu, and I know I'm gonna hear about this from like players that have been playing for a while. Lulu got them through all this. I don't like Lulu at all. Removes 1 harmful effect on all allies and recovers the hit points by 20%. There's always a heal, meaning that Lulu can always heal every turn. Covers the target allies and your own hit points by 20%. Removes the harmful effect on the ally. And then, I think this was a buff afterwards. It increases the attack bar by 30%. The base stats, though, they're horrible. You know, and if you have a monster that hits really hard, which we're gonna go through it on the win monsters, I don't know. I would hold off on a rating on Lulu. I would have to see. I wasn't a Lulu user. I never really liked Lulu. So I'm gonna be honest with you on that one. Him increases your crit rate by 15% and the damage of your critical rate hits by 30%. Oh, this is a passive. Throws 3 axes. Your attack bar increases by 15%. He's an attack monster. He has a decent base attack. You know what? He could be decent. Could be. He's lacking in speed, but he could be decent. I was looking at his skills before. He's just a tank. his light and dark and fire brothers are way better than this. You really don't need too many water tanks. So she's an initial monster that you get. She's actually pretty good, right? You can use her in raids. Now this skill isn't good for raids. So 2 and 3 star arena, this skill is actually going to be pretty good. She's gained value because of this. This heal can be a very big heal depending on your substats and how you build her. I would say speed, hit point is how I would build her. The base hit points on her is really high. So speed, hit point. She also has this stun over here. So you could go like fatal revenge, speed, hit point. You can do rage is a no-no on her. I wouldn't do that. Swift revenge, yes. Violent revenge you can do. Despair isn't worth it. So either swift revenge, violent revenge, fatal revenge, revenge offsets because she has this stun. You want to do nemesis? Nemesis is possible. Will is also possible if you put her on defense. It's not so bad. Her. She has a nice base attack, decent for a 3 star. Attacks an enemy's weak point. Great. This attack always lands a critical hit. I really don't suggest her. There are other attack monsters that you can build that might be better than her. So, especially she doesn't have a leader ability. The other ones have a leader ability. So Dagora, a lot of people disagree with me on this. He's slow. A lot of people say he can farm 5-on-1 hell as a 6 star. He can farm B9 giants as a 6 star. It's just really slow. You're just sitting there and you're talking about like B9 giants. It's going to take you 10 minutes just to do it. He has a decent leader ability though. 15% hit point isn't bad. He comes back to life with 30% of his hit points. With his attack bar, I think he comes back with his attack bar at the same when he died, and then he has this same as Ramagos. There's this too. I mean, he's just a tank. How many tanks are you going to need? And these monsters are kind of easily attainable. So he gained a lot of value. He's a defense monster. He has this leader ability. I like it. 23%. Attack speed. Then he has this counter attack. He has the team attack, and he has the weakened defense. So he's really not bad at all. The fact of the matter, it's 5 turn. It probably goes down to a 3 turn cooldown. Very easily obtainable. I think there's a secret dungeon. Either way, you can get him in Garin Forest, and it's not hard to max his skills. This, as I said, is a pretty good leader skill. You can build him as a defense-based monster, make him annoying, but you need a good attacker with him, and it depends on who he takes. So you're taking chances with this. And the thing is, he has the weakened defense, so you can build him swift, because he has a nice base speed. Swift revenge, swift nemesis, swift endure, swift energy works. Any way you want to build him. You can do fatal. Despair is a no-no. You can do violent as well. But as long as you get him moving, really his attack isn't all that great. He has a high base hit points too, and his defense is pretty decent as well. He's a defense-based monster though. So you go speed. I think he has a skill that's based off of defense too. No, he doesn't. No, that's the wind one. We'll talk about the wind one another time. So you go like speed, crit damage, attack, or you could do a attack, crit damage, attack. You could do speed, crit damage, defense, or attack, crit damage, defense. It depends on where you're going to use him. You want to use him in defense. I still don't suggest him in some ways, but this later skill is really nice. Other than that, he's alright. Not the greatest of monsters. So Shylock. A lot of people like not a lot, but a few people like Shylock. Inflicts damage proportional to the max hit points to all enemies and reduces their attack bar by 30%. Then he has this: attacks the enemy 3 times with energy balls. Each attack has a 30% chance to decrease the target's attack bar by 30%. The damage increases accordingly to your max hit points. So you pretty much got a tank. Now this is a good tank, a really good tank, and I'm going to tell you guys why in a second. Attacks and removes beneficial effects. So he's really not bad. All right. I would do something like Violent Revenge on him. Why is he a good tank? Like hit point. You can do hit point crit damage, hit point as well. Maybe you want this to hit as hard as possible because it'll do some decent damage to this skill. And this one too might do some decent damage against tanks as well. But he removes beneficial effects. He decreases the attack bar quite a bit. He has no slow. That's pretty much what's kind of getting me. His base speed is really good, 115. This is what's catching my eye. And he has a high hit point. His defense is it's all right. He's a hit point monster though. So you can this high hit points right here. You can get him up to 40,000 hit points. He could be all right for defense. Kind of annoying. So especially with that base speed, 115 base speed is pretty good. He's going to be all right, Shylock, for 2 and 3 star arena. So we got Kun, reduces damage. He's just a tank. He really doesn't. All right, so he has the AoE freeze. Fine. The thing is, okay, so what are you gonna do? You're gonna build him defense, crit damage, defense. What's the cooldown on this? 4. It'll probably go down to 3. All right, Kun can. Isn't it guaranteed freeze? It's a 50% chance. I don't know if it goes up afterwards. Kun can have some value. He gets resistance though as it goes up. I think he's the slowest monster in the game though. That's a problem. Very high hit points, very high defense as well. You might be able to use him as like a defense monster. I think he has an overall stun as well. I'll provoke instead. Stuns the enemy with a 25% or provokes with a 10% chance. Okay. I guess he's buildable. You can build him. You could probably do Despair, since he has this. If he doesn't freeze, he's going to stun. That's just a suggestion. Revenge, Swift Revenge. Maybe you want to increase the speed over there. Violent Revenge. Other than that, I wouldn't do Fatal Rage on him. I'll tell you that much. Maybe you could do Rage, defense, crit damage, defense if you get the runes. But other than that, he seems alright. So he has an attack power leader ability, which is okay. That's not bad at all. Pursues the enemy to deal a deadly blow. The damage of this attack increases according to your max hit point and attack speed. So he's like another tank. He has a good attack speed, not as good as what we've seen on other monsters with the 115. His attack is lackluster completely. He has this weakened defense and attack, and this is the regular initial skill. Again, we're going to have to see how he does. I really don't like him too much. This is the only thing that I like, and I believe the magical archer has a better one. So we got Pyrion. Pyrion is actually used in a lot of high-level arena. I think I've given him bad ratings before. This leader ability is not bad, but it's only for water monsters. Crit rate 20-30%. This is why a lot of people use him in high-level and high-end arena. And the way they use him is they either use Megan and him, or but you need really, really good runes to use Megan and him, or they use Bernard and him. So he fills the attack bar of all allies by 50%, which is a big attack bar increase, and increases the crit rate by for 3 turns. Then he has this freeze, all right, which is nice, and the freeze receives a 50% crit rate bonus. So between this and the 30% you get from the crit rate from the buff, it's really big. So he's already got 80% crit rate just off of that. Now this, on critical hits, the attack will increase your attack bar by 30%. So he's actually really, really good. I was a noob and I gave him a bad rating before. He's really, really good. And the way I would build him is probably Swift Blade. Yeah, you could do Blade because this doesn't get a crit rate bonus, even though he has he gets 30% more. You want to crit with this no matter what, just to increase the attack bar. So Swift Blade, attack crit damage, I'm sorry, speed crit damage attack is what you want to do with him. You want to make him as fast as possible. You want him to boost the rest of the team. So he's going to be really good for 2 and 3 star arena as well. Not just high level arena, but 2 and 3 star. You pair him with like Bernard or something, he's going to be really good. I actually know somebody that 6-starred her. She's not bad. She has the tectonic shift. She ignores defense with this. And then she has this too, puts the enemy in an ice prison and freezes them for 2 turns. Not 1, but a 2-turn freeze. That's really, really good. This can actually be used as a Theo counter, now that I'm thinking about it. Especially if you get her to move before Theo Mars. The ignore defense, you could fight a defense monster with that's defense based, like Velajewel, or in 3-star arena, she's you know what? She's a lot better than what I thought, what I would think she is. I haven't looked at her skills in a while. So yeah, I would go Rage Blade, attack crit damage attack. Maybe if you want to do speed crit damage attack, that's worth it too. I think this would be a nice Theo counter, especially a lot of those Theos running around with violent runes. This 2-turn freeze isn't bad at all. It's not bad at all. And she increases her own crit rate by 23%. You know what? She's a lot better than what I thought she was. So, yeah, I'd probably go like Violent Blade. I'm sorry, Rage Blade. Rage Blade. You could even do Swift Blade. If you want her to be fast, go speed crit damage attack. She's going to be ignoring defense anyway. So on some monsters, you can't use her against super tanks, but like defense built monsters, you can use her. She'll one-shot a lot of defense built monsters. She's actually a lot better than what I thought she was. I think she's fusion fodder as well, and so is he. He might be, and he's fusion fodder. This guy right here. I didn't go over what's fusion fodder and what's not. I know he's fusion fodder as well, but very easily obtainable. I believe he's fusion fodder as well. So anyway, we're gonna go on to Garuda. Increases defensive ally monsters with water attribute by 30%. Yeah. Decreases all incoming damage by 25%. That's okay. Alright, depending on he's a hit point monster though, but it's his max hit points. Strikes and provokes the enemy with a 50% chance. Very high base hit points, I'll give him that much. Speed is okay. I mean, he's a tank. If you really badly need a tank, you could build him, I guess. And you could build him swift, violent, not despair. Swift or violent. Energy, I guess, if you want to do Nemesis or Revenge. I said Revenge or Will, but I wouldn't build him. So a lot of people like Vigor. I think he's alright. He has his leader ability, increases attack power in Guild Wars by 21%. This is what everybody likes about him. Attacks an enemy 3 times. Each attack has a 35% chance to decrease the enemy's defense for 3 turns. The damage of this attack increases according to your max HP. So, and look at that. Look at that base hit points. It's really, really high, and he has a really high base speed as well. I believe that the build on him is Rage Blade, hit point, crit damage, hit point. Just for this skill right here, he has this heal over here, and it increases speed. And then he has this, the unrecoverable. He's not so bad. You could do hit point, hit point, hit point, hit point, crit damage, hit point. You could even do Fatal Blade, but probably Rage Blade would be better. You want more crit damage than attack, but attack will affect this skill. Even though it's based on hit points, attack will help it. You could do violent as well. I think I've seen a violent one here and there. They get a little annoying. I think Rage is more of a better build. He's going to be pretty good for 3-star arena. Alright, I never really liked her. I think she's a little overrated. Okay, some people they hold her, and you know what? With the new Elven Ranger, I think the Elven Ranger is better. Attacks all enemies 4 times with a volley of arrows. Each strike has a 75% chance to decrease their attack gauge by 15%, which it's only a 15% decrease. So 4 times, and it's what is it? 75% chance. Maybe it'll go up to 100 if you max the skill. All right. Fires 2 magical arrows, each hit having a 40% chance to freeze the enemy for 1 turn. Attacks with a 30% increased chance of landing a critical hit. Alright, so you could go Rage Blade, attack, crit damage attack on her. But then again, she needs accuracy on that. She has a nice base attack. Her hit points aren't that... her hit points... whatever. And her speed is okay. Still not thrilled by her. We're going to talk about it when we get to the Elven Ranger. This is fusion fodder. She's not really worth it. I actually used to use her in dungeons all the time, back in my real noob days, like the first month I played. She was like one of the first monsters I got. Increases the chances of attacking with a critical hit by 50% if the enemy has no harmful effects on them. There's no point on that, that's a passive. And then launches 2 consecutive attacks, alright, and decreases the attack bar by 25%. And then a chance to stun. Fusion fodder for Sig, that's it for her. Rena was the talk when the game first came out. She was, before they buffed her, she was like unstoppable. Her shield would stack and stack and stack, and it was just so crazy. I've thought about building a Despair Revenge Rena, hit point crit damage, hit point actually. Just a troll. What you want to do with Rena is you want to get her to 100% resistance. Some people are using her in high-end arena now, just so that people don't want to hit them, because it's just so hard to kill her sometimes. And everybody has their monsters built off of crit rate. So if she's tanky enough, you won't be able to break through her shield. And so you want her with 100% resistance. Why? So you can't land weakened defense on her, or it's harder to land weakened defense on her. Acquires a shield that equals to 20% of your max hit point for 2 turns when you're attacked with a critical hit. This actually goes up. I think it goes up to 30% of her max hit points. I don't remember. So pretty much. Anyway, we'll go on to that one. This is goes down to a 3-turn cooldown, and then this skill based off of her maxed HP. So you want to build her with as much hit points as possible. Violent is not ideal for her because she could probably violent proc out of her shield. It's only a 2-turn shield. When I said I want to build a Despair Revenge one, it's just a troll. It's not really for anything. You could build her Swift just to get the heal off. You can build her all energy, make her a rock, just sit there and bring her up to like 50,000 hit points. Or 45, 50,000 with towers and everything. It'll be so hard to just kill her. That's pretty much about it. I wouldn't suggest any other builds for her. Either if you want to do the troll, I'm seriously considering doing the troll and just building a Despair Revenge one and just see what happens. So, but other than Swift or all energy, I definitely don't suggest violence. And Fatal and Rage is not even worth it. You want to build a Rage one, go ahead. Hit point, crit damage, hit point. There's no point in doing that. But, yeah, anyway. So she's going to be really annoying also for 2 and 3 star arena. People are going to have her on defense. Sharon. So she has a better leader ability than the Griffin. The thing about her is she's contradicting. She has a defense-based skill, and then she has... This is what I never liked about her. Alright, this is an AoE that decreases attack speed. Yeah. And then this was a recent buff. So I think if she attacks a fire monster, she'll put like weakened defense on them. Stuff like that. As I said, her skills are contradicting. I'm going to hear it from some people. She has this stun over here. Alright, 15% chance to stun. I don't know if that goes up. This is probably on a 4-turn cooldown, this skill. Maybe 3, who knows. But it's just so contradicting. How do you build her? You build her defense build? You build her attack build? I would build her attack build, in my opinion. I would just go like Fatal or Rage. blade, attack, crit damage, attack, and not even care about this defense-based skill. Even though it's her third skill, she's an attack monster. This is what I never liked about her, is she's so contradicting. Alright, so Wayne. Wayne is an alternative to Bernard. So you can build a speed team, and this is what I liked about him with his leader ability, 23% speed. But the Charger truck also has the same leader ability. But we'll talk about it. So Wayne has pretty much the same, I believe either he might be one off, but a very nice high speed. He increases the attack bar and speed, the attack bar by 30% and speed for 2 turns for all allies. He has this chain fire which can hit up to 10 times. And then he has a chance, he shoots twice, and then he has a chance to ignore defense once or twice, whatever. This first skill I can actually hit really hard. So Wayne isn't bad. We're gonna see in the future how he's gonna do it. It depends on what kind of 2 and 3 star monsters you want to build, what kind of teams you want to build. There's gonna be wind teams, there's gonna be fire teams, there's gonna be water teams. It's all kinds of things running around. It expands the game in some ways. It gives a lot of monsters a different kind of value. So the Imp Champion, I'm not too thrilled with him. He's one of those 25% chance. It charges towards an enemy to randomly attack 5 times. So maybe 2 or 3 out of the times he might get ignored defense. He's an attack-based monster. I guess 386 is a decent attack. I wonder what it goes up to when it gets to 60. When he gets to a 6-star. Charges towards the enemy. Oh, sorry. Pierces the enemy with a spear and inflicts damage proportional to their max hit points. So I guess it's good for a tank. Charges towards the enemy with a spear, increases your attack power for 2 turns if you get a critical hit. So he has his own buff. I guess maybe you just use this and then this and hope that you ignore defense. There's a lot of RNG involved with him. He could be good for 2 and 3 star arena. For a regular arena, I don't like him at all. But for 2 and 3 star arena, he could be good. Megan. Megan is great all around. She's a little bit overrated. A little bit. I'm not saying she's not good. She's great. But some people think it's Megan end all and be all. I'm sorry, that's not the way it is. She has a low base speed. She has a high base hit points, but a very low base speed. This leader ability for arena is actually really good. It's decent. Not really, really good, but it's decent. So she has this skill, increases the attack bar of all allies and their attack power and defense. This is what a lot of people use Megan for. And this. You can use this to kill arena as well, because she'll block a beneficial effect for 1 turn. Which her counterpart Celia, I believe, has a 2-turn block beneficial effect one. So, anyway. But Megan is all around better. And then she puts a dot with this. Megan, the basic build is Swift Focus. You could do Swift Will, but the basic build is Swift Focus, Speed, hit point accuracy, speed, hit point. Whichever way you can get her accuracy maxed out, because you want this skill to hit. It's not only to get her accuracy maxed out, but you want to make her as fast as possible. The only downfall to Megan is she has a really low base speed. But other than that, she's good. Some people use her Violent. That's for dragons farming. If you want to use her in arena, Violent really. Well, you know what? If you could get her speed high enough and have her within 30% of Bernard, a lot of people pair her with Bernard. Pretty much, it's Bernard, Megan. Bernard buffs speed first, then she buffs again. Make sure all of your allies go. They do it with like a double Lucian comp. It depends. Not everybody does it with a double Lucian comp. Some people I've seen people use Sig and stuff like that, but that's pretty much what I've seen with a double. That's mainly what I've seen is with like a double Lucian comp. Other people use her with Purion. The downfall to using her with Purion is both her and Purion have very low base speeds. Purion's at 97 as well, but his attack bar increases a lot better. But you'll get everything you need. You get attack, defense, and crit rate. The only thing you're not getting is speed from these two, from this combination. The thing is, though, it's a very low base speed, so you have to have phenomenal runes. But overall, Megan is very good. Hemos. There's a debate where on some boards. So alright, so Hemos is strictly for TOA hard. I wouldn't even use him in arena. You're gonna be swapping ruins and stuff like that. He can be used in TOA normal. The thing is, he's really, really, really good in TOA hard. I never built Hemos. I have Thrain, but there are some boards where Hemos is better. So here's why. He has this freeze right now. On the boss boards, you can't freeze the actual boss, but you can slow them, and this decreases the enemy's attack speed with freezing chills for 3 turns, and freezes the enemy for 1 turn, which is really, really good. Thrain has an AoE stun, so you really can't stun the boss. But the whole reason why they're good for TOA, especially TOA hard, is they have this skill right here. I think it goes down to a 2-turn cooldown. This skill spreads a plague to all enemies that has an 80% chance to inflict 2 continuous damage effects that last for 2 turns. So for TOA hard, he's really, really good. And then this skill right here acquires an additional turn if you get lucky enough and you kill them in TOA hard with this skill. Whatever, you get an extra turn. The way to build Hemos for TOA hard, either swift or violent, but violent would be better. Speed, hit point, accuracy, speed, hit point, whatever gets him higher accuracy, whichever way you can do. You need him to survive. He's actually, as he progresses up higher, I think this base hit points is like lower. It's not gonna be as good as right now. For 4-star, it's pretty decent, but later on it's not gonna be that great. And I think it makes it to like 8,500 or something at top speed. He has a low speed, that's why you want to build some speed on him. Pretty much it's just for Plague, and this too. Yeah, of course it's for this too, but Plague is really good for TOA hard. I suggest everybody that's trying to clear TOA hard to build Hemos. Nickel, I think you can't put continuous damage on him. Gains immunity against continue and decreases the attacker's attack speed for 2. He's just a tank. I think he has an AoE, weaken attacking all enemies and decreasing their defense for 2 turns. Then he has this stun. I don't really suggest him at all. He's just a tank. The AoE weaken defense is not bad though. Maybe you can build him for with a wombo team if there's a weakened defense you know what? Yeah, there is a monster. Maybe you could build him with Tagaros. Tagaros has a weakened defense as well though, but it's only for 1 turn. A 2-turn might be a little better. This is for 3-star arena. His base speed though is low, so if you do try and build him for something like that, you go like speed defense or speed defense accuracy. Other than that though, and this would have to go up to 100% chance if it does. I think it does go. I think it goes to 75 with a max skill. I don't remember. Other than that, he's not that great. I'm just giving suggestions here. If you want to build him the way I said, swift, speed, hit point, speed defense or hit points, whichever one. Accuracy, just to get the weakened defense off. You know what? I didn't look at him. I think he was the good one too. Attacks the enemy with a swift attack and increases the attack speed of all allies for 2 turns. Okay. Recovers the hit point of all allies, decreases the chances of being attacked with a critical hit for 2 turns. The recovery amount is proportionate to your attack power. So you know what? This isn't so bad. How good is he? I'm not sure. Approaches the enemy with a dragon, throws a punch. And what? Decreases the attack power for 1 turn with an 80% chance. Okay. I kind of like this skill right here. This can get annoying. Especially if you're decreasing the enemy from getting a critical hit. I wouldn't suggest him on defense though. Increases attack speed for all allies for 2 turns. He can be used. You could do like swift, speed, crit damage, attack. You could probably go fatal if you want attack, crit damage, attack, rage blade, attack, crit damage, attack, or speed, crit damage, attack. Whichever way you want to build him. It depends on your team and what you want to build. Him. I think he has the unrecoverable. He's just a tank though. Strikes the enemy's weak spot with an axe, disturbing the enemy's hit points recovery for 2 turns and recovering 35% hit points if the enemy dies. He's a hit point monster though. And his attacks with an axe and recovers 25% of the enemy's max hit points if the enemy dies. Oh, sorry. Whoa. So he has 2 of these skills? But he's a hit point monster. Like, you have to get lucky. He's not the one with the unrecoverable? Oh, yeah, disturbing. Yeah, he does have the unrecoverable. He's got attack abilities, but he's a hit point monster. I don't like him. And he has the provoke too. Forget it. I've seen people use him for B10 dragons. I guess he's okay. He can be annoying, especially that it's 50% less damage from wind monsters. Then he puts attacks all enemies and inflicts continuous damage for 3 turns with a 50% chance. The attack power increases according to defense, and the damage increases by 30% for each removed harmful effect. Forgot what that does. You know what? Somebody told me. Okay, so he puts dots. He's actually not so bad for TOA hard either. Yeah, anyway, I used to see someone use him in Dragons B10, but they were killing the tower, so I don't suggest him for Dragons B10. I think he has a weakened defense. Inflicts continuous damage for 2 turns with a 15% chance with each attack. The attack power increases according to your defense. So he's got a lot of continuous damage effects, and he's a defense-built monster. So he'd be good for TOA hard. 3-star arena, he would just be annoying. You know what? He could be alright. He's going to sit there and add harmful effects. The thing is, if you're fighting monsters, like I said, Kona's going to be a superstar in 3-star arena. Kona will just own him. So you gotta watch out for stuff like that. Him. Increases the allies' hit points, I think. Yeah. Increases the crit rate by 20% and decreases the chances of missing by 20%. Okay. Aims for the head and shoots with increased chance to stun the enemy from. He's an attack-based monster, but I don't think his. I think his multipliers aren't that great. I don't really like him. He's another one. I'm not too thrilled with him. I think he gathers power for a strong, fast charge. The critical rate increases by to 100% if the enemy's defense is weakened. Okay. He's an attack-based monster. Attacks an enemy 2 times with a swift charge, decreasing the enemy's attack speed and defense for 2 turns. This isn't so bad. Then he has a stun. He's not that great though, either, at the same time. So anyways, Talc. I've built Talc. Obviously, you can see that. If you're trying to clear TOA hard, and there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me on this, Talc and Basalt are both very good. Alright? I built Talc long before I got Basalt. The thing is, though, Talc got me through probably the hardest stage in TOA hard, which is the Artemil, 2 Wind Monkeys, and 2 Light Yetis. Okay? When it was stage 80. I was stuck on that stage for, I don't know, like a week or 2. I don't remember how long I was stuck on that stage for. And I never thought about taking Talc. Talc ended up tanking the damage from the Wind Monkeys, which was my main problem. Alright, so he has this skill, decreases the inflicted damage in half if the damage is less than 20% of my max hit points. So obviously you're going to build him as a tank. He has this AoE heal that also increases defense. And then he has this provoke as well. I highly suggest, now I know people are like, oh, I'm not going to build Talk just for one board. I also use him for the Occult Girl stage when that's on the high boards. So it's two different cycles of TOA Heart. The Artemil stage that I'm talking about, the Artemil, the two Wind Monkeys, and the two Light Yetis, is during the Lilith cycle. And then the Occult Girl cycle is with Antaros, whatever his name is, the other cycle. So I use him for both cycles on very hard stages. He's really, really good. I'm telling you, the Provoke and the increased defense is good as well. Basalt is good. Don't get me wrong. But I do believe he's overrated. Okay? Talc is a little underrated. Now, I'm not saying Basalt is bad, and I'm not saying Talc is amazing. But I'm telling you, Talc has gotten me through some stages where you wouldn't believe it. So the way I got through those stages was I did weaken attack on the monkeys, and then I provoked the Light Yetis. I had an AoE weaken attack. I had I believe I was using Briand, and I was provoking the Yetis. So Talc just absorbed all of the damage. All right. The way I built him was violent. I have an offset for him. You could do Violent Revenge just to continue with the provoke. You can do Violent Nemesis. Nemesis not as much because he's gonna have the damage, but you can do Nemesis on him as well. And you could do Violent Revenge, Violent Nemesis, Violent Will only if you're gonna use him in Arena. For Arena, even the 2 and 3 star Arena, I don't think he's that great. For Basalt would be better in that situation, but just build him as attack, hit point, hit point, hit point. Look for some speed substats though, absolutely. Violent Revenge is the way you want to go. I have a broken offset on him, just because I needed the runes elsewhere. It works fine with me as long as you build him hit point, hit point, hit point with a little bit of speed. Just look for speed substats, some resistance as well, so he doesn't get stunned, and you're good to go with Talc. He's a great, amazing tank, in my opinion. Talc is really, really good. All right, this chick, she is used in Necro B10. I think she would be alright for 2 and 3 star Arena as well. So some people use her for Necro B10. She shoots the enemy with lightning speed 6 times. Each shot has a 65% chance to inflict continuous damage. Effect that lasts for 1 turn on the target, which isn't bad at all. Then she has attacks all enemies in all directions. 30% is added to the critical rate. Not bad. She has a decent attack. I think she would be alright. Shoots 3 projectiles, with each projectile having a 20% chance to slow the attack speed for 2 turns. This is why people use her in Necro B10. I haven't summoned any. I'd like to summon some, but I want to max skill the Dark One. I think the Dark One might be a little better. The Dark One was a free monster we all got. So if you don't have the Dark One, I'm sorry, and you started a little late or something. But she's really not so bad. Her overall stats are pretty good. And as I said, people use her in Necro B10. And she would be alright in what do you call it? Arena 2 and 3 star Arena as well. How to build her? For Necro, you need Violent Revenge. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. For Arena, you could do Fatal Revenge, Fatal Blade, Rage Revenge, stuff like that. Overall, since you want to use her, if you're gonna integrate her into your Necro team, you want to go Violent Revenge. That's probably the best build you could do. So you can use her in Arena as well, and Necropolis. And we have the Charger Shark. So the Charger Shark. Look, I'm not gonna say he's bad. I'm not saying he's bad. He's okay. Way too overrated when he came out. Way too overrated when he came out. There's a lot of people hyping him up. You can do 5-on-1 and this, and then people got stuck and they couldn't do 5-on-1 because they didn't have the right runes for him. I like the leader ability, but as I said, the wolf gives the same leader ability. He's better than the wolf though. So you're probably better off building him with an attack team, with Purion or something, than the water wolf, whatever his name is, Icarus. This is a passive. When landing as a critical hit, this attack additionally inflicts continuous damage for 1 turn on the target. If the target dies from this attack, you will heal as much as the amount of damage dealt as the finishing blow. Alright. Attacks an enemy target, decreasing its attack power and attack speed for 2 turns with an 80% chance. Okay. Performs a huge attack that damages an enemy while increasing your critical rate for 1 turn. So you basically get additional crit rate. Okay. Woohoo, we got a secret dungeon. Alright, so if the target dies from this attack, you will heal as much as the finishing blow. Okay. Fatal Blade, Rage Blade. You want to do violent, you could do violent, I guess. Attack, crit damage, attack. That's it. You could go Swift as well if you want. Swift Blade, attack, crit damage, attack. Maybe you want to build a speedy team. Or speed, crit damage, attack, depending on what your team composition is. But he's not bad. Highly overrated, but not bad. All right, not the greatest. He's good. Very highly overrated though. This guy. I was talking about him earlier today, actually. Circulates the body with chi, recovering 30% hit points and counter-attacking when being attacked for the next 3 turns. Attacks the enemy with a thundering blow that shakes the ground and stuns the target for 1 turn with a 75% chance. The damage increases according to speed. Alright. Then he has a stun over here. Somebody mentioned him for TOA hard. He can be used for TOA hard, I guess. He's a defense-based monster. So, I don't know, for Arena, a lot of people are going to be using weakened defense. He's going to get owned by faster monsters. I wouldn't suggest him for Arena. I'm not too thrilled with him. Maybe for TOA hard he'll work out, but I'm not too thrilled with him for anything else. He has the counter attack where he'll be stunning as well. 30% attack. Does he get defense when being attacked for the next 3 turns? He doesn't get defense out of it. Attacks the enemy with a thundering blow that shakes the ground and stuns the target for 1 turn with a 70 and damaging. So the damage really isn't going to be that great out of him, but he's a good tank, I guess, since he's a defense-based monster and he can do random stuns. Then he's going to be counter-attacking as well. The thing is, you don't want him to be getting glancing hits. So you gotta hope they attack him. You gotta hope it's not a wind monster attacking him. And you don't want him to get glancing hits, because when he glances, he's not gonna be stunning. So he's like a hit or miss for TOA hard, to be honest with you guys. This guy, you know what? I think I saw one once. For 2 and 3 star arena, he might be alright because he has this 25% chance to freeze. And then he has this, attacks all enemies and disturbs their hit point recovery for 2 turns with a 75% chance. The damage of this attack increases accordingly to your max hit points. Alright. There's not too many monsters with an AoE unrecoverable. Attacks the enemy twice and deals damage accordingly to your max hit point, and also deals continuous damage for 1 turn with a 20% chance. Alright. So this is a passive. I would probably do like Violent Revenge. Revenge because he'll probably end up freezing them for the next turn. Violent Revenge just to spam this ability as much as possible. It'll probably go down to 3 turns. And the fact of the matter is, if you start freezing and on Violent, you could just freeze the whole enemy. He'd be fun. He sounds like he's fun to use. Violent Revenge. You got to build him tanky though. That's the thing. Speed, hit points. You could go hit point. I would rather do speed, hit point. You want to do swift if you don't have the violent runes, and you want to go swift, swift, violent, hit point, speed, hit point. I really don't suggest despair runes, even though he has this AoE. He still has the freeze. I mean, you could go despair if you need a full set. Fatal and rage really aren't going to work for him. This is based off of his max hit points, right? Yeah. Rage, you might be able to get away with, fine. But I really think either swift or violent on him. Hit point, speed, hit point. with revenge. Revenge, absolutely. I don't really suggest any other offset because of the 25% chance to stun. I actually know somebody that's 6-starred him. He doesn't seem so bad. The only thing, like, Lucian would hit him alive. So for regular arena, he's not that great. But for the 2 and 3-star arena, there are monsters that ignore defense, actually. He's a defense-based monster. Your attack bar is filled up by 25% each time you get hit by a critical hit. Becomes immune against defense-decreasing effects. So if you build him with enough defense, what's his name may not be able to ignore his defense. Copper. He might be a decent little copper counter. Other than that, I don't see much from him. Unleashes a devastating shot. Has a 50% chance to provoke an enemy for 1 turn. Attacks the enemy 2 times and deals damage proportionate to your defense. Each attack has a 25% chance to stun the enemy for 1 turn. If the target is not suffering any harmful effects, 1 additional attack is added. So, the way I'm thinking about it right now, I just thought about this at the moment too. I think he would be a good copper counter. If you could get his defense, like I think the highest copper I've seen was over 3,000 defense. Pretty much all you gotta do is get him over 1,500 defense. And as a 6-star, that really shouldn't be very hard. You build him defense, defense, defense. And that's it. He's a copper counter right then and there. There's no way copper can do anything to him. There's not much copper can do to him. He won't be ignoring defense, and that just kills copper altogether. So, yeah. Tractor isn't that bad. And I see coppers on defense in Guild Wars, believe it or not. I've seen a couple. There's a couple of traps like that running around. This Elven Ranger, I actually like her. And I talked about it what's her name? Where is she? Ellen. I think Ellen is her name. Ellen. He's a lot better than Ellen. Why? Because activates a track, damaging all enemies and decreasing their attack bar by 30% each. Fine. He doesn't decrease the attack bar as much as her. But with her, there's a chance of her missing. It procs all the time. Against enemies that are stunned, it'll reduce the attack bar to 0. So some enemies can lose 2 turns. Or whatever, a turn and a half. A turn and a quarter. Whatever the case is. I think he's a lot better than her. He's not so bad. He's an attack-based monster. You could build him attack, crit damage, attack. You could do Swift, you could do Violent, you could do Fatal, you could do Rage. Depends on what you want to do. Blade. Let me see something. Rapidly fires 2 shots and may fire an additional shot by chance. The chance of firing an additional shot is equivalent to your critical rate. Each attack has a 30% chance to decrease the target's attack bar by 15%. Okay, which isn't bad at all. Attacks the enemy, stunning it for 1 turn. You could go Rage. You could go Rage Blade. You could go Violent Blade. You could go Fatal Blade. Despair I wouldn't do. So I would probably do, if you can't get the crit rate high enough. This is based off the crit rate. It'll get a 3rd hit based off the crit rate. If you can't get the crit rate high enough, go attack, crit rate, attack. Or go, you could do attack, crit damage, attack, definitely. But I would probably do attack, crit rate, attack. Revenge Runes aren't really worth it on him because he's decreasing the attack bar. So go Blade. Just do Fatal, Rage, Violent. Fatal, Rage, Violent. You could do Swift as well. Attack, crit rate, attack, or attack, crit damage, attack. Whichever way, you just gotta... I would max out the crit rate on this monster, to be honest with you guys. It's not so bad. For 3-star arena, I don't think he's going to be bad at all. I really like the fact that on a stun monster, it'll decrease the attack bar to 0. They just lose so much off of that. So that's actually really cool. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I will talk to everybody later. Let me know in the comments if maybe I made a mistake. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I made some sort of a mistake. But thanks a lot. I'll talk to everybody later.